Hey, what's up guys? So we're going to be testing the new cryo set that just came out, the Blizzard Strayer, and we're going to be talking about if it's good or not. We're going to be talking about it on every single character, but mainly Kaeya, and you guys are going to see why. But basically the set is especially good on Kaeya. It makes him a viable sub DPS or main DPS, and we're going to be testing it out, see if it's good enough or not good enough, and I'll give you guys my thoughts at the end. So it's especially good on Kaeya. A lot of people think it's amazing on Chongyun, but there's actually doing the math, and I'm going to link you guys a video that goes more in detail than I will. It actually seems that it's not the best set on Chongyun, but it is the best on Kaeya, and so that's why we're going to be focusing on him. So yeah, overall, just going to be talking about this new set that seems really good on just in general, and then we're going to be talking about which characters it's good on, specifically Kaeya, and we're going to do a showcase of the set. And with that being said, let's get right into the video, guys. Hope you enjoy. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about the set effect and what it does. If I sound a bit dehydrated or weird, it's because I've been streaming for like 7 hours, testing this cryo set notably. So yeah. Anyways, so the set gives you a nice 2-piece and a nice 4-piece. The 2-piece gives you cryo damage bonus, and honestly, sometimes for some characters, you might only want the 2-piece if the 4-piece isn't particularly good on them. But the 4-piece is exceptionally amazing on Kaeya, and we're going to be talking about why. So basically it gives you 20% crit rate when your opponent is affected by cryo, and that can be basically all the time as long as you use your Q on Kaeya. When your ult is active, it constantly applies cryo around you, so you'll always get that 20%. And on top of that, you get another 20% crit rate, so 40% from one artifact set just by basically freezing the enemies. So when you attack an opponent that's frozen and afflicted by cryo, so you put Hydra on them, you put cryo right after, then you'll get 40% crit rate. And that's just insane because it lets you build crit damage. So instead of having to run a lot of crit rate, you can run on very low crit rate. Now we're going to talk about every cryo character, mainly Kaeya and Chongyun, but mainly Kaeya because it's the one who benefits the most from the set. Definitely very good on him. And also if we look at Kaeya's constellations, now note he's in the shop for December. So if you need to go buy one with Star Glitter, you can. But basically, C1 and C2 make him insane with this cryo set. Makes him a very, very good DPS option. Now, why? Well, first of all, C1 gives you 15% crit rate. And C2 will increase the duration of your ult by so much. It increases, as you can see here, by 2.5 seconds up to a maximum of 15 seconds, making your ultimate last legit forever and letting you constantly get the cryo set effect, giving you that 40% crit rate. Now, I usually don't talk about constellations in my videos, guys, because I think most people have C0 characters and all that stuff, but for Kaeya, he really gets much better as a DPS at C1 and C2. The early two are very important. The rest suck, but if you get lucky, get a C1 or a C2, it is very, very nice. There are some important stuff about the set though that you guys should know. Basically, in order to make it work, you do need to afflict your enemy with cryo, right? But in order to get that other 20%, so to make it a total of 40% from the set, you need them to be frozen. Now, for that to work, you should ideally be running a Hydro character like Xingqiu, and honestly, he's probably the best character to run, or you can run Mona if you have her as a Hydro support, but Xingqiu with his high energy recharge and the Rain Cutter spam, having the Rain Swords around you like at all times, basically lets you perma-freeze enemies and gives you that extra 20 or 40% crit rate. Now you guys will see in a DPS showcase, but my Xingqiu is only level 20 out of 40, I've ascended him once to get the talent, and he does enough damage and is good enough to support my cryo DPS. Another thing to note is that if you're running someone who does mainly cryo damage, you'll basically be just spamming the frozen, get this 40% crit rate, and you basically stop there, it's good. But if you're running someone who does physical damage like Kaeya, you also want the superconduct effect. So you're going to ideally need a Hydra support and a Electro support, and what I try to do is I try to proc superconduct and then keep them perma-frozen after that. It's kind of annoying to do, but it's definitely worth it for more damage, especially just getting superconduct out the way, and then you can just perma-freeze with Xingqiu's ult and Kaeya's ult. Another important thing is if you are running this 4-piece cryo set on any cryo character, you probably don't want a crit rate circlet because you already have 40% crit rate from the artifact set, so having a crit damage circlet is much more efficient. Now note, mine is a 4-star, it could definitely be better. I actually have a really nice 5-star crit rate with crit damage substat, so this would be better if I didn't have this artifact set. Actually, if we compare, you guys can see that if I run my crit damage one, I get 40% crit rate from the 4-piece set, 15% bonus from this constellation 1, so that's 40 plus 15, 55, and then if we look at my my current crit rate, it's 35. So with all those together, I have more than enough crit rate. I don't need it on my circlet. Now, if I were to run the crit rate circlet that I have with even a really good substat, I'll just have too much crit rate, right? Without the set effect, I already have 65. With the set effect, that's 105, right? Because it's another 40. And then with the constellation, it's just overboard. So yeah, I highly recommend a circlet that isn't crit rate, so ideally crit damage, just so you can make the most out of the set effect. And if you guys don't know, a 5-star crit damage hat does give you 62% crit damage. So basically this set lets you get that 62% crit damage on your circlet, which is just insane. So we're going to talk about this set on every cryo character. I'm going to be mainly focusing on Kaeya near the end and for the rest of the video after this section, and you guys will see why. So for Diona and Chi-Chi, obviously they're both supports, so they don't need the crit rate and they don't really need the cryo damage bonus. I could see the case for the 2-piece if you're running cryo damage for some reason, but as a support, they do not want this set. So that leaves us with Chongyun and Kaeya. There's a video by Shadowblood, a YouTube content creator who basically focuses on Chongyun, and he did the calcs before the set came out to see if it would be good on Chongyun or not, and it seems to be actually a trap because of the way Shatter works. So when you freeze someone and then you use Shatter, he gets unfrozen, you have to refreeze, and then there's an internal cooldown with the cryo proc on Chongyun, and it's just not as good as like even as a Glad set for DPS or as like Noblesse for support. You can run the 2-piece set if you want more cryo damage. But for more information on Chongyun, be sure to check his video because he knows a lot more than me on Chongyun, since I don't use this character that much. And he really changed my view on how the set worked for it, so I want to give him all the credit possible. Basically, like, the set on Chongyun seems really, really good on paper, but when you compare it to like 4-piece Glad or a Noblesse on a support, obviously, it just isn't as efficient, is what the conclusion seems to be. Keep in mind for Chongyun, I still think the set could work, but for Chongyun, doing the math and seeing other people do the math, it doesn't seem to be optimal, but if something changes, I will pin a comment and let you guys know. So that's why we're going to be talking about Kaeya for the rest of the video, because this set on Kaeya is absolutely broken, and we're going to talk about it. Alright, let's talk about Kaeya and why it's so good on him. So I know I briefly talked about some stuff earlier in the video, but now we're going to go more in detail and talk about the main stuff. So first of all, when we look at his talents, if we look at his normal attacks, which is only level 6, you can see that the scaling on his attacks is actually really high. He has less attack speed than Keqing, so this isn't a fair comparison, but the numbers on the damage per hit is higher than hers. You can see mine is level 7, and it does 65% roughly on one hit, and it goes up obviously. And then for Kaeya, it's already more at level 6. Now, as I mentioned, the attack speed is different, but it just shows that the DPS on Kaeya, like his scaling for his talents, is very nice. Before this set came out, his abilities weren't really that great. Like, sure, you can proc cryo and superconduct, but it doesn't really justify running him as a sub DPS or main DPS. But now with the set, you can basically keep people perma-frozen with Glacial Waltz, especially if you have some energy recharge and C2. It just makes it so strong. Another thing to note is Glacial Waltz actually does a decent amount of damage, 83% scaling on every hit at level 2, right? My talent is only level 2. I could be leveling it up if I wanted to. So it does definitely add up, and you do a nice amount of mixed damage, but you're mainly going to be having that pretty high physical damage, especially with charge attacks and your combos. So the scaling on his attacks is pretty nice, and basically because of the way his abilities work, and if you pair him with Xingqiu, you can basically perma-freeze enemies. So early in the video, I mentioned Constellations, and you don't need them to play Kaeya, guys, obviously, but C1 and 2 are very strong, and just make him a much more potent and better DPS. Now, after testing this guy, I think he's a very good, amazing sub DPS, like definitely someone I would run as a sub DPS, and as a main DPS, he can work. His damage seems honestly much stronger than I expected, and he seems like a viable DPS. All right, now we're going to talk about weapons. So since you are doing physical damage, there are a few decent options. If you need a 3-star weapon, Harbinger of Dawn should be the best because of the crit damage, and the crit rate bonus will basically keep you at 100, if not more than 100. Even if enemies like aren't frozen, you get the crit rate bonus, and it could be fine. But yeah, so this would be a good 3-star. The best blacksmith weapon is obviously the prototype Rancor because you get more physical damage bonus, and the effect is okay, especially if you refine it, so not a bad option, especially because it has high base attack. The best option, obviously, if you got lucky on a banner, or if you're a whale, or whatever, if you have it, Aquila is definitely the best because of insanely high base attack, just so high, and a very nice physical damage bonus, as well as a nice passive. But I don't expect you guys to have this, so prototype Rancor, or even like a 3-star weapon can be good enough and can definitely make him a viable sub DPS or main DPS. So do keep in mind going into the damage showcase that my Kaeya is only level 70. I could ascend him further, but I don't have the resources. His talents could be higher. It's level 6, 6, and then 2. So yeah, keep that in mind. That being said, we are going to go in the DPS showcase. My attributes are here. So 145 crit damage, and I do obviously only have a purple circlet, but you know, that's okay. Room for improvement. And obviously the DPS showcase will be done without food or like potions or anything. And I'll just be showing you guys how much damage I can deal to see if you guys like Kaeya as a DPS, sub DPS, whatever. Or if it isn't for you, I'm just going to be testing him out in different areas to see how much damage he can do. So I'm not too sure what the best place to test Kaeya for like a neutral showcase is. Maybe floor 10 Abyss, like this chamber where there's a lot of enemies, so you guys can see, since this floor does not give any bonuses. I'm also going to be doing some random domains and random ley lines, I guess. But we'll start with this Abyss floor, see if he's good here. So yeah, I think we'll go to chamber 2. If it's not that nice, we could maybe do a later floor, like 11, or I guess 12, since everything's cryo. And we'll do some domains and ley lines after. Let's go. Overall, I think this cryo set is actually really good, especially for Kaeya, and I really want to try out Kaeya as a sub DPS for Child. When my Child's E is on cooldown, since I don't have him very high constellation, I can swap to Kaeya, and everything I can perma-freeze because Child just applied them with Hydro, and I kind of want to see how it works because this set is not only very good, but it makes Kaeya a very good sub DPS or even a good main DPS. Now, obviously, I'm not going to pretend he's the same level as like a Diluc for main DPS, but he's definitely good and I would build him. And I plan on building him on my free-to-play account as a good DPS option once I reach the high enough AR to build this artifact set. So yeah, I hope that sums it up. If I missed anything, it'll be in a pinned comment. I'm still really scared to have missed anything, especially on like Chongyun, so be sure to check a pinned comment if there is one. But yeah, overall, I really like the set. I like Kaeya. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new here, obviously be sure to follow me on Twitch because I'm probably going to be streaming most nights. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Kaeya's pretty sick. This cryo set's pretty sick. Subscribe if you want to. If you don't, that's okay too. And I'll catch you guys next time.